Mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Hit that subscribe button here on the channel, youtube.com/BearsNow, and we will have you covered with more videos leading up to training camp. All right, load up those questions, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We'll answer as many as we can. Anthony is first up. Why are we so delusional about draft pick value when the odds of a player busting by far exceed being on elite talent? 2 out of every 3 of every round never pan out. Trade for DK. Okay, I see what you're saying. But, I mean, if you're trading a first-round pick and a second round or a first and a third for DK, like, yeah, you're getting a sure thing, but then your chances of hitting any players in that draft are almost nil because you've traded 2 premium picks. So there's 2 sides to a coin, Anthony. The Gabe, pre-record thoughts for the Bears. Preseason record, or like 2-1, 1-2? Oh, for the whole season? All right, the Gabe. I don't know. I see anywhere from, I think the floor is like 6 wins and the ceiling's 10 wins. Somewhere in there. I think the schedule's easy enough where this team should win 6 or 7 games, and if Fields makes enough strides, maybe they could push for 9 or 10. But obviously, that'll depend on Fields' development. Amos Goldberg, Justin Fields had some awesome plays last year. If the offense is built around his strengths, doesn't that promise a huge year from Fields? I mean, nothing's a guarantee, right? He certainly has to own some of his inconsistencies from a year ago, even though I think the coaches put him in a pretty horrible position at times. But yeah, I mean, if you play around his strengths, play action, mobility, throws down the field, especially vertical passing game, that should lead to success, but guys got to play well around him. Getsy's got to call the right plays at the right time, and Fields himself has to make the plays. It's a team effort. There's no doubt about it. Jake Morris, top position battles to watch at training camp. I got a couple in mind here, and there's certainly a lot. You could say wide receiver. You could say something like, edge, especially if Robert Quinn isn't there. What I'm going to say, 2 spots. Offensive line, first and foremost. Fascinated to see who the opening 5 are in week 1. Who's going to start for this group? Are they going to sign a veteran to help? I still think that's possible. Nickel corner is number 2. It seems like Thomas Graham's going to get a real opportunity to take the nickel job over veteran Teven Jenkins, who missed most of the offseason program. So I think those are 2 spots. The entire offensive line outside of center and left guard, I believe, which is Lucas Patrick and Cody White here. I think left tackle, right guard, and right tackle are up for grabs. And then nickel corner with Thomas Graham Jr. and Teven Jenkins. So we'll see how those 2 spots break down, but obviously a lot of competition this year at training camp. Who's ready for it? I'm ready for training camp because then, once training camp here, football's kind of back. You've got real football to talk about, then preseason game hits, then all of a sudden it's week 1. It all happens very quick. The blur from July 26th, the opening of camp, to week 1, it's about 6 weeks, and boom, you're ready to go. Type me if you're ready for training camp down in the comments below. Coach Nagy's back. If Justin struggles again this season, will all the Nagy hate finally come to an end? I don't think it would all come to an end. But if Fields is bad this year and starts next year and is bad again, then yeah, maybe there'd be some conversation of, well, maybe Fields just wasn't the guy. But I think Matt Nagy had a lot of issues, not just putting Justin Fields in a bad position. Snowden Neal, we have to get Teven on the starting line, right? I hope so, but listen, I mean, the best 5 got to play. If he's one of those, great. I hope he is. The Bears traded up in the second round to get him last year, and I actually liked the move, to be honest. I won't fault Pace for that one. But he was getting second-team reps for a reason toward the second half of the offseason program. I don't know if that's to send a message. I don't know if that's because he's just not that good, or maybe they're trying to, really kind of ramp him up. Be like, hey, man, come on. We're trying to see if you can find another gear. I hope he's in there. I think that's helpful if he's a starter. If not, that's not a great sign because this is not a great offensive line. Chris Patel, will the Bears go big in 2023? I hope so. I mean, they should have a lot of cap space. They'll obviously have a first-round pick once again. I think, especially if Fields proves this year that he can be the franchise quarterback, then I would expect an aggressive mindset for the 2023 offseason. Benjamin Temple, where would you rank our secondary with the new rookies? So PFF ranked the Bears secondary 30th out of 32, which I totally disagree with. But I think the potential is for this secondary to be top half of the league, maybe sneaky top 10. Look, Jalen Johnson is a legit corner, okay? You've got Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon coming in as rookies. I think both those guys will be upgrades from what you had at strong safety and Tayshaun Gibson and CB2 and Kendall Vilder. So if that's the case, you've gotten better there. Eddie Jackson should bounce back. He shouldn't play as bad as he has the last 2 years. I think Brisker will help. And then Thomas Graham and Tavon Young should be better options than Duke Shelley at nickel. You should get better at every spot on your secondary. And if that's the case, that could add up to being a pretty good group. Follow Bears Now on Callin because we go live on the Callin app every single week. So give us a subscription there. It's free. Chatsports.com/BearsCallin. What is the Callin app? It's an audio social podcasting app. There's a caller queue where you guys can hop in the queue. I pod you guys up. You ask me your questions. We chop up some Bears football back and forth. We get to know each other a little better, which I'm a fan of. There's a live chat component as well. The more subs we get over there, we're going to be able to do call-in post-game shows during the fall, which I can't wait for. I want to hear your guys' thoughts immediately following Bears games. Chatsports.com/BearsCallin, your opportunity to call into the show and sound off. Larry Rosen, go get DK Metcalf now. Give up a first and third next year. Stop with the polls BS. Look what the Rams have done with giving up future draft capital. Here's the thing, Larry. They didn't start getting crazy aggressive until they already had a foundation, right? They went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, and that roster was mostly built on draft picks. Goff, Aaron Donald, Todd Gurley, Robert Woods. Those are players they all drafted and groomed. And then when they realized, okay, Goff, he got us here. We're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. Boom, you go get Matthew Stafford. You go get Von Miller. You go get Jalen Ramsey. You go make all these moves, and then you go win a Super Bowl. You don't trade crazy draft assets coming off a 6-11 season. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't trade for DK Metcalf, but the Rams built the foundation, and then they made those type of moves. It's apples and oranges. It's not the same. TD Productions, what would you say is the best case scenario for drafting, signing, trading for a receiver next offseason? I mean, best case, you draft one of those studs like Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jordan Addison, Boutte, or one of these other guys, and you pair that with a top-tier free agent like a DK if the Seahawks let him go, Deebo Samuel, or if Darnell Mooney takes another step, you just extend him because he'll be up for an extension plus draft one of these guys. So I think something like that, TD Productions. Tech is my life. Who do you think will be the best player on the team this season? If I had to guess, Roquan, but I think here are candidates that have a chance to be the best player on the team. Roquan Smith, Justin Fields, David Montgomery, Robert Quinn, good one, Coop, and I'll throw Jalen Johnson in there. Those are probably the 5 guys that could be the best pure player on the team. If I had to guess, Roquan's the heavy favorite. Quinn's in there if he shows up, and then Fields, if he pans out, it turns out to be the guy, then obviously if he takes a huge step and plays well, he could be the best and most impactful player. All right, Bears fans, Chicago, home of pizza, we know that. Better pizza topping. P for pepperoni, S for sausage. Let's hear it from you guys in the comments section, and I'm curious. I want to know, P for pepperoni or S for sausage? Jake with a question. Do you think they're going to have Fields start all the preseason games and have most, if not all, the camp reps? He'll definitely have pretty much all the camp reps. I mean, sure, Simeon will get a few as the backup, but he's going to get most of those. Matt Eberflus, when we last heard from him in early June, said he has not made a decision on preseason, how much, if at all, starters will play. I'd like to see them play some. This is a young football team, guys that need reps. Fields needs reps in this offense, but we'll see. Every coach has a different philosophy on the preseason. NCAA 14 League podcast. I can't wait for the new game to come out. How will Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon do alongside each other? I think the potential is to be a really good tandem. Johnson is a good player that's hoping to become a great player this year. Kyler Gordon has a ton of potential. I think he was worthy. He had a first-round pick. You got him in the second round. Potential's huge. Gordon's got to, be healthy. He missed some of the offseason stuff, but I think there's real upside for this pairing. Mr. Inglewood, Travis Gibson says that Dominique Robinson kid is already ahead of him. Your thoughts? So he meant from where he was as a rookie. Travis Gibson is certainly the better player right now, but you also have to remember, when he was a rookie, he was inactive for over half the year. So if Robinson's ahead of him, that could mean all sorts of things. That, okay, he's worthy of being active, but is he ready to play and contribute at a high level? Because Gibson was not as a rookie, broke out last year. But at least he's further along than that, right? That tells me, he'll get some opportunities, and I hope that is the case for Dominique Robinson. All right, subscribe on Callin, chatsports.com/BearsCallin, because we go live after our live shows on Tuesday to answer all of your questions. Chatsports.com/BearsCallin. You can download the Callin app on iOS and Android for free.